Hi everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the AI Shift. The AI Shift is a weekly 15-minute strategy session designed for business owners who want clarity, not complexity. Whether you're stuck in tool overload, scattered workflows, or just unsure where to start, this is where strategy meets execution. It's designed to reset your week, sharpen your thinking, and turn AI from hype into help. Hi everyone, my name is Craig and it's very good to be with you today when we present another edition of the AI Shift. And this week we're talking about the founder operating system and how leadership changes in an AI native business. So, over the past few months, we've talked about AI from a lot of different angles. We've explored AI operators, decision systems, escalation paths, AI teams, AI managers, and AI native businesses. But now we're going to talk about something even more important. We're talking about you. You, the business owner, you, the manager, you, the founder, you, the leader. Because once AI starts running more of the business, what becomes the role of you, the founder, the leader, the manager, the business owner? And that's the shift we're exploring today. So let's look at what this means for why we're looking at it. So most businesses grow around the founder. And the founders build their businesses by becoming the answer to every problem. Need a decision? Ask the founder. Need approval? Ask the founder. Need direction? Ask the founder. Need something fixed? Ask the founder. And in the early days, that works. In fact, it's often necessary. The founder is the driver of the business. They're the strategy driver, the strategist, the salesperson, the marketer, the operator, the problem solver. You name it, they're it. And then as they grow, they put more people on. And those questions then go to their direct reports. Could be a manager, could be a salesperson, could be this, could be whatever. So whatever leadership role you are occupying, you're going to be asked those questions. You were asked those questions. And eventually something happens, whether you're the founder and you're growing and you keep on getting asked those questions, or your manager, the business owner. The business grows, and then you, the founder, you, the owner, you, the manager, becomes the bottleneck. So the business starts growing around you, or the business is limited by you. So let's look at what myth we are busting today. And there's a myth that keeps founders trapped, or business owners trapped, or leaders trapped. And that myth is great leaders stay involved in everything. Many people believe that if they're the founder, the business owner, the manager, visibility equals control. Involvement equals leadership, and activity equals value. So they keep saying yes. They keep being the one that has to give approval. They keep being the one that has to decide. They keep being the one that has to coordinate. But leadership isn't measured by how much you touch. It's measured by how much clarity you create. And the future founder is not the operator. Even the present founder should not be the operator. The future founder is the architect. And we're going to look into that and drive that today in our session. And the reality is the future founder is not the operator. They are the architect. Excuse me. AI native businesses require a different kind of founder, a different kind of business owner, a different kind of leader. And that is why we have seen over the last few months some chief executives resign from large corporations because they didn't feel that they could adequately drive AI within their business, within the business they were the leader for. So an AI native business does not require a founder or a business owner or a leader who runs every activity. They require someone who designs how activities run. Now think about the difference this is. An operator asks, what needs my attention today? So what should you be involved in today? An architect asks, How should this system work every day? What should happen whether you're here or not here? One measures activity, one measures and one designs capability. So your leadership moves from activity to architecture. So the shift is what is going to happen in your business. Now let's look at what actually happens. The old founder model, the founder owned the decisions, they owned the approvals, they owned the follow-up, they owned the coordination, and they owned the execution. So everything flowed through them. Even as the distance got greater between them and the customer, they still had everything, some people still have everything flow through them. Flow through to be the bottleneck. The new founder model in an AI native business, the founder owns the vision, the priorities, the standards, the governance, the strategic judgment. Now you probably say, well, that was the case in the past. Yes, it was. And it should have been, because the founder did have the vision. They did have what were the priorities. They did know what the standards were of their company. And as they got bigger, what the governance was and what the strategic judgment always sits with them. But now an AI system owns the execution, owns the coordination, owns the reporting, owns the operational decisions, owns the workflow management. The founder stops running the business and they design how the business runs. They let control go to that point of being running the execution of the business, the day in, day out activities, the approvals, the decisions, the follow-ups, the coordination, the execution. Because as we discussed previously in other episodes, you set guardrails, you set your decision criteria, and you let AI operate within that criteria, within that guardrails. And then only on critical cases or outside of the normal functioning do decisions or approvals need to go up the chain, so to speak. So what's the model that we think that will be happening with AI native businesses in the future? And the way we think about it and look at it is to think about operating systems. And most businesses have an invisible operating system. Generally, it's the founder, the owner, the manager. So they remember what matters, how decisions get made, who should do what, and what happens next. Now, some of you may be saying that's not the case, but let me ask you, whatever happens if someone in your organization leaves? You're the founder, you're the business owner, you appointed someone to be a sales manager, someone to be an operations manager, someone to be a warehouse manager. You brought them in because of their experience and their knowledge, and they started to make decisions and turn things around. But did you ever capture that knowledge, capture how decisions were made, which were critical to the operation of the business? Or did you just let them go because that person was there? Then that person left. What happens to your business? And that's exactly the problem. What happens if something happens to the founder, to the manager, to the business owner? Because when all of that lives in one person's head, the business can only scale as fast as that person. I have seen businesses where people do not go on holidays for years because the business can't operate without them being there. So the AI native business, the operation system becomes explicit. Rules are documented. Standards are installed. Decisions are governed. Systems coordinate. The founder, the business owner, the manager is no longer the operating system. They become the architect of the operating system. Now, I know some people think, well, they already do this because they do delegate, but we're saying to delegate it to AI to free up not only the founder, but your staff. And let's look at this example. Let's say content. The founder manages content, or the founder manages follow-ups. So you may have the founder or the manager choosing topics, reviewing ideas, approving posts, checks analytics, and decides what happens next. And we've showcased this previously. Everything waits for them. But in the founder operating system, the founder defines positioning, who is the audience for that content, what are the standards, what are the strategic priorities, and then the system identifies opportunities, selects topics, creates content, distributes content, monitors performance. And the result is the founder no longer manages content. They manage the system that creates the content. It's the same business, but it's a different leadership model. They have taken what sits in their head to approve, what they look for, how do they assess what going forward is the content, and they hand it over to AI to do it. You can give AI explicit instructions on how to write, what your brand voice is, how to style your content. And then you can give it explicit instructions to edit the content, to refine the content. Same business, different leadership model. So this week's shift for you the founder, for you the business owner, for you the manager, even no matter what level you're at in the organization you work for or are involved in, ask, what decisions am I still making every week? The 5 decisions you make every week. Not once a year, not once a quarter, every week, the 5 decisions you make. And for each one ask, should I keep making this decision? Or should I design a system that makes it for me? So, are you willing to just look at the 5 decisions that you make week in, week out? And can you design a system to make those decisions for you? Because the goal is not to remove you from the business. The goal is to remove yourself from decisions that no longer require your unique value. If you're as a sales manager, you were brought on to drive sales, to train your staff, to develop your staff, to develop relationships with customers. You weren't just brought in because you can sign a document for approvals, were you? Something to ponder and something for you to work on this week. As today is Wednesday, you can have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Just think down of 5 decisions you're making and how can you design a system to make those decisions for you. So the future founder won't be the busiest person in the business. They'll be the person who creates the clearest direction, who frees up the efficiency, excuse me, 1 second, sorry about that. Put that on silent, sorry. They'll be the person who creates the clearest direction. So the old model rewarded involvement, the new model rewards architecture. The old model rewarded activity, the new model rewards clarity. The founder is no longer the operating system. They become the architect of the operating system. So that's us for today. There's something for you to ponder, to look at your key 5 decisions. And that's the real shift, not just how AI changes business, but how AI changes leadership. And there's something for you to think about this week as you think about how you drive your business and make your business part of where AI can take it, and bringing AI as an operating system into your business. So think about that, spend some time this week and build systems for those 5 decisions you make. That's us. Once again, my apologies for that interruption. Normally I have my phone on silent, but not the case today, so my apologies. But I thank you for your attendance today. I look forward to catching up with you next week, but please take some time to think about how AI is going to be operating within your business. And we'll see you next week when we present another edition of the AI Shift. Until then, bye for now.